this little slate, some interesting stuff, as you said, with the back-to-backs, and we're waiting on a couple teams' injury
I
reports.
hate it. Because I read matchups Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and
Right, of
I
course.
put 7,000 words down for matchups, and I already did the quotes for tomorrow. It's just so much work. I love it though. I'm a maniac.
You crush it though. You crush it.
Thank you.
Honestly, I'd be lost in the NBA DFS world without matchups on the big slates. I know that much. So
thanks, man. Yeah,
it's exciting stuff.
I didn't learn how to play better. You're freaking awesome. You got it. I'm honestly just kind of a neophyte on the DFS side, and I'm getting better. I've gotten a lot better this year, I feel like.
Definitely.
Yeah. So let's talk about it. Pull up the old schedule here. Yeah. So as Gary said, we just got the 3 games. Got one early game. We'll get the info for that, and then we're gonna have something at least with Miami for that late game. We don't have their injury report, so we're gonna start with them. So we know Jimmy Butler sprained his ankle. He sprained it, played through it. He was in street clothes by the time the game was over in overtime. You gotta think he's sitting. You add that to it. Bam was questionable with the knee, got in foul trouble. Hero was questionable last night, played a ton of minutes in overtime. Kyle Lowry played a ton of minutes. Maybe he comes on the injury report. Max Strus was supposed to play yesterday, was sore. They held him out. Maybe he comes back today. That would be a big boost without Jimmy after that knee injury kept him out for about a week. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just going to pull up the box score from the overtime game for Miami, and I mean, it's nuts, man. Look at that, like 47 for Lowry. Spo talked about kind of wearing him down a little bit too, taking some charges and all that. So like maybe it's not even crazy. He sits and they just go bananas with like Gabe Vincent. So yeah, what are you looking at here? PJ Tucker also was on the injury report for a shoulder stinger yesterday. Played 38 minutes, a lot of hard contact stuff. Had a big putback dunk late in the game too. But what's your first impressions on maybe how to approach this? And I got some other hints. Go ahead.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking maybe they just full on lean in LA, still on this back-to-back going out west. They just lean into a full on rest spot here because they, the Heat are an older team for the most part with their core. They are not as deep as they probably would like to be for a team that's probably thinking they have a real chance here. And, with their superstar obviously got banged up yesterday. Sorry, 1 second. Superstar obviously got banged up yesterday. Bam was already on the injury report. Kyle Lowry's 36. It's definitely a spot here now. And they played 5 quarters for essentially yesterday. It's definitely a spot here where I would expect to see, I don't know, they let Hero and Duncan Robinson go, and then there's just full on bench unit. I wouldn't be surprised.
So, and then to add to that, one thing that like struck me from Spoelstra's post-game presser yesterday, when he was talking about Yurt 7, and he calls him O. Like his last name is Yurt 7. You can't come up with a better nickname than that. But he said he kind of wanted to play him more, like going forward. So my antenna went out, like Bam. Maybe they sit him out and they go with Yurt 7. And I mean, look what Yurt 7 did in summer league, right? Like if Bam's out with how thin this team is, they're gonna have to dump the ball into him sometimes. Against Zoo and probably some smaller stuff. We'll talk about the Clippers in a second too. But I keep an eye on that. Like we're expecting something.
Right.
We'll get at least some questionable tags. Again, just it's worth noting that Bam didn't go through shoot around yesterday too. So Tyler Hero did. The minutes were a little bit down for Bam because of foul trouble. But I mean they put a lot on Bam last night. They ran more pick and roll stuff. Like he might be feling it today.
Yep.
Let him enjoy the LA knife. Go ahead.
He played really well, and it's like if he's feeling good, maybe I would guess of. I mean, I don't know if Lowry's not hurt at all. Maybe he's the guy to go, but he played 47 minutes last night. I'm saying of those big 3, just because Bam is younger, I would guess they would try to push it with Bam, but I really wouldn't be surprised to see Lowry sit here too. So really just keep an eye here because this is going to be the problem is, and maybe you and Wiggins will get into this on the live show. This is the 10:30 game. This is going to become, especially with Philly getting a slightly healthier, this is going to become the main value spot on the slate in all likelihood. Now you have a lot of decisions to make at that point. I don't want to get too in the DFS speeds, but it becomes a really interesting strategy point.
Yeah. And then, maybe they didn't play. They don't have they're not like red alert thin like the Sixers were a couple of games ago. Cause I mean, even if like everybody sits, they'd have Duncan should be good.
Right.
Caleb should be good. Dedmon, you're at 7. Vincent, what's that? 6.
Yep.
Paula, and then somebody. So you're kind of already at 7 there, and that's on red alert.
Yeah,
so I think definitely. We'll talk more about the strategy of it, but something's going to happen to affect the slate.
Hero will go, right? I mean, he played 42 minutes.
I think so. I think Hero is much more likely to go than Bam is. And Bam is if I had to rank my concerns, Jimmy obviously number one. Then I would go Bam, Hero, Tucker, Lowry after that.
Okay, you Lowry all the way down there. So that's good news.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, he's healthy, right? Like, he had that ankle sprain a couple times, but
so
Lowry's just a tough dude.
You'd imagine Lowry and Hero, assuming they suit up, and if Bam and Butler miss, are going to be very popular DFS plays as well, and probably for good reason. They're gonna handle a huge load in this game. So
yeah, definitely.
But it could be a blowout spot for the Clippers too. With the Heat on the back-to-back on the road. So
yeah.
Yep. But yeah, no, it's an interesting spot. You got to really monitor the news. I mean, hopefully we'll get their initial injury report soonish, and then whatever news comes through from the beats, it's definitely important to keep your ear to the ground there.
Yeah, we'll definitely get at least one questionable. I feel like probably multiple questionable tags.
Right.
I guess let's just hit the Clippers since we're on this game really quick. They're shorthanded, so like if you look at their injury report right here, right, official injury report, they're missing pretty much all their G League guys. Surge on a G League assignment, interestingly. So they're pretty tight here. So not having Amir Coffey is like kind of not a huge deal, but it's enough where you are going to have to feel pretty good about the minutes for Bledsoe, Kennard. Obviously Terrence Mann, obviously Reggie Jackson, Paul George is crazy good. But how do you feel about this team against what could be merely a shorthanded Miami team?
Yeah, Marcus Morris just out punching the bag, waiting to get a chance at the Jokic brothers. But yeah, no, I mean, going to be some interesting value here probably because, again, especially if Miami ends up being shorthanded, I would expect them to kind of turn to some of the younger guys. So like we might have a real Terrence Mann type of game here. There's no reason if it's going to be a shorthanded game, there's no reason for the really push on Batum and Bledsoe and some of these older guys. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them, take the younger route if possible. But then again, they're thin. These guys, if they're all going to be decent. They're all sorry, my mic just shot off of me. They're all going to be decent plays, I think, based on what's going to be available. And PG, if Butler's not in and Bam's not in, PG could be in a real smash spot. Yeah.
And interesting quote from Ty Lue the last game. He was asked about like Paul George being a playmaker. He said like no. He just wants him to score. So I thought that was a good quote. Yeah, just a quick matchup note, man. Like we've seen this is kind of, and this because you had Will Barton against the Miami Heat perimeter defense. Denver lit him up from 3.
Yep.
Lakers lit him up from 3 last night. They're going to be bombing threes on this team. So, we'll talk more about that later for DFS. But
yeah,
something
sure.
I think that they could really take advantage of matchup wise, especially if they're shorthanded. They can kind of do some extra rotations. Brody doesn't like rotations.
Brody hates rotations. Doesn't like the Heat perimeter. Yeah. He hates the Heat perimeter defense right now.
All right, I gave him a treat. So
that's how I feel about the Knicks perimeter defense right now.
Yeah, why don't you talk Tobias real quick while
Yeah. So I think we're projecting Tobias to make his return tonight, which I think really, if that does happen, it does, obviously the Sixers are still going to be pretty shorthanded. There's no Embiid. Seth Curry's questionable, who we're also projecting in. Matisse Thybulle's still out. But just the return of Tobias Harris in general, I talked about these spots and DFS purposes, and the Sixers have been one now for seemingly 2 weeks. They're still going to, especially on a 3-game slate, there's still going to be a ton of value. Drummond's going to be a spot once again. But Tobias Harris coming back and the usage that he'll bring, especially with no Embiid, completely changes the outlook of the Sixers from a DFS perspective. So I don't know. I turn to you to tell me what kind of minutes he could play in his return here. But if he's a full go, we're no longer kind of looking to be using so much Shake Milton and Korkmaz and Danny Green. Yes, they're still in play, but they're not the smash spots that they have been.
Yeah, so there's a couple ways to think about this. Doc said he wasn't doing well kind of the other day and he was trending up. So I think there's a pretty good chance he gets the old reconditioning tag and doesn't play. Like we have him leaning in just because when we lean out, we like to make sure we're kind of confident in it. Don't hit it every time, but we are usually pretty good leaning out. But we have him I think at 30 minutes, which makes sense, right? Because he could be capped at 24. But this is important to note that Doc perhaps more than most coaches doesn't really abide by minute restrictions. Just off the last game, Danny Green had a 20-minute cap, and he got up to 29. They were like, hey, Danny, do you feel okay? Yeah. So, like, they'll probably have a number on him and be like, Tobias, you feel okay? And Tobias will probably say, I'm okay, especially, just the nature of who he is and all that. So, yeah. But, yeah, like we said, I mean, Max, he's got a day rest. He's playing a ton. He said Doc said he played Korkmaz too much. He'll be coming back down with Tobias, but I still think the guards are going to get plenty of run.
Yeah.
Obviously, Drummond, he is just a machine. Doc has talked about his conditioning multiple times about what great shape he's in. So, yeah, I would expect a ton out of Drummond regardless. He's, he'll lose a little usage, but I think the role and playing time is still really, really secure. Paul Reed's power forward minutes would obviously go away too.
Yeah, so I think directly this would impact Paul Reed and Yang the most, and then Korkmaz after that. So,
Yep.
Niang has been this kind of nice little play for a while here. If Tobias is back, I mean, we're projecting right now for 22 minutes on a 3-game slate. He probably still makes your player pool, but I'd be kind of capping him pretty hard at that point.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Yeah, Drummond. We'll get to the Raptors here in a second, but Drummond's in a real smash spot here, right?
Yeah,
With the injury problems the Raptors have, so.
And they're really small. Let's just hit the Raptors really quick. So we've got no Kem Birch, no Siakam in the back-to-back. So they're suddenly really thin at center. They have, they have Precious Achiuwa, and they'll have pretty much that's it, because they want to use Boucher as more of a 4. And it's very important to note that multiple times Nurse has bashed Boucher against like big bruiser big men. Like, name a more bigger bruiser big man than Andre Drummond, right? So I think that we're kind of conservative on Precious's minutes just because we kind of have to be. But I think Precious could play a ton in this matchup. And it's also worth noting they used Scotty Barnes guarding Robert Williams last night. So they could fill minutes that way and go small, play Svi, OG, and Barnes in the small ball lineup, especially if they go there with Yang or Reed or the non-Drummond minutes. I think that's going to be part of the game plan. So I don't want to play Boucher today. You would think with as thin as they are, you'd be like, oh my God, play Boucher. But like, I hate the spot for Boucher. Anything you want to add to that?
I'm just terrified of Boucher until further notice. Like, he was our darling at the beginning of last year. We were trying to play him whenever we could. And now it's just kind of like Nick Nurse just hates this guy. Plus, you're right. Like, I kind of understand where he's coming from. Like, he's tall, but he's not going to be bruising against these these thick big men. So I think they're going to run Precious as much as they possibly can tonight. They need his size. They need his physicality. And this might be like one of your final real chances for Precious. I think you were talking about it on 3-ball also for season long, all that kind of stuff. He's probably going to be massive chalk, like Nurture Dad says in the comments right now. I'm sure he will be. But, regardless, it might be chalk that is going to be decent chalk, because if he's going to be one of these guys that really has a chance to be on the floor for most of this game, because they're in a weird spot here. I mean, they could try to play smaller against Philly and try to run Drummond off the floor a little bit. But I don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah, they're a path to his failure for sure. Like I said, they are okay going small. If you're okay putting Scotty Barnes on Time Lord, like, you're pretty much okay doing anything. And I mean, sure, Drummond's gonna probably kill him, but if Drummond kills you, that's not the end of the world, right? You still can win some. But we saw a couple nights ago, like, Drummond went off and they still kind of got some dubs. So Scotty Barnes is gonna play a ton. Like OG, he's rested. He's being aggressive now. OG will play a ton. Van Vliet will play a bunch. Definitely Svi. I think Svi would probably be the sneaky guy.
We have Svi for 32 minutes right now, and Trent obviously for his like normal 34. Those guys are interesting to me, especially against the Shake Milton Maxi types. I think they're going to have some real smash opportunities tonight as well.
Yeah, let's go to Indiana. So this is kind of we're in the dark on the Vert. He was supposed to play yesterday, but back didn't feel great. Ruled him out early. Never really had a shot. So I think we got to lean out on this one, just given the nature of who he is with how he misses so much time. Just had this back injury, just returned like a week and a half ago, whatever it was. So, Chris Duarte has really trended down. Didn't get anything going. Was standing in the corner pretty much most of the game. Ran most of their action through Brogdon and Sabonis. Big game for Miles Turner with the blocks too. Double altitude game. What do you think? Anything you want to kind of add on the Pacers?
No, I want to see if they're going to give Brogdon the go on the back-to-back here.
He should be fine. It's just an illness. I thought he looked okay, so I wouldn't be too worried about him.
Yeah, then, I mean, it's a tough matchup. I think Utah's favored by like 10.5 here. Again, with 3 games slate, I'm not going to get into too much strategy here, but if you're talking about games they're going to play as a blowout, you can really look into some of these, 7 through 10 guys on Indiana, especially if some guys are rolled out that might have some value spots tonight.
Yep. I think we've probably said it all. Anything else that we didn't? Who am I forgetting? I'm pretty sure we're forgetting someone.
The Jazz don't have anything on their injury report. I don't think if Elijah Hughes might be back actually. Available.
Adjust it.
What's up?
All right, I said adjust it. Elijah Hughes.
No,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. Yeah, scrape all your plans.
Yeah, right.
Elijah Hughes
don't play Precious.
Jared Butler's still out. Nothing really going on there. And then we're just waiting on Indiana and Miami. Hopefully we'll get that soon. But an interesting 3-gamer tonight. Should be fun.
Should be super fun. I'm excited to have a nice little easy night. So yeah, we'll get out of here on that. If you guys are checking out the content, please do the props. We had a great props night, 10-4. I hit my rogue bets too, which I don't like to do too many of them. So I had a pretty good night. DFS has been fun. You're killing it. You had the big night this week. So yeah, if you're listening to this, make sure you subscribe below. If you want to get the free stuff, hit the thumbs up, everybody.
Yes, please. Thumbs up.
And we'll catch you guys next time.
See you guys.